That I call the Honourable Member for Indi.
Deputy Speaker, good evening, colleagues. It gives me great pleasure tonight to stand and support this very important report. I've proudly been a member of the committee and have contributed to the work of it. But colleagues, tonight I also want to make a connection with, while this report building up and moving out is really important, it works hand in glove with another report prepared by this parliament earlier this year, called Regions at the Ready, Investing in Australia's Future. So I think together these two reports are a really important body of work to shape governments now and in the future on our regions and on our cities. And I have been absolutely delighted to be part of both of those inquiries and acknowledge the work not only of the secretariats involved, but the many community people and industry people who helped us do it. So tonight in my speech I want to talk a few ideas related to this report. I want to talk about a few of the recommendations in the report and why they're significant. And I, like many of the other speakers tonight, would like to draw attention to my electorate, not so much as a needy electorate, but to talk more about some of the amazing developments that are happening in my community and to make the link between how these reports work and then how our communities can respond. Because, Deputy Speaker, what's really clear from both these reports is the regions are ready, our communities are ready, our regional RDAs are ready, our institutions are ready, and the experts in our community say it's time. It's time for growth, for development, for more people, for more infrastructure. And the really, really important thing we need is planning and a national strategy. And that's the role, if ever there was a role, for our governments. So in calling for these reports to be considered, the work has been done to say communities are organised, now it's for government to come in with its high-level policy. And let me just talk briefly about my electorate of Indi. For those of you who know it, the northern border is the Murray River, the southern border is the Great Dividing Range, and the eastern border, and then the Hume Highway. 28,000 kilometres, 100,000 people. And we've got this most amazing freight route. Melbourne to Sydney passes right on the northwest side of my electorate. It's the Hume Highway and the transport freight route. We've got the wonderful Albury-Wodonga Airport located in Albury, which does a fantastic job servicing the communities. And we've got the Logic Inland Port just out of Wodonga that provides, on the intersection of the major highways, a rapidly growing industrial area for highways, for freight, and hopefully in the future for an aeroplane. So my community is definitely at the ready, but what I would like to talk tonight is about role government can play. And I particularly want to focus on one of my communities. Colleagues, you might know my community of Benalla. It's on the highway, it's 2 and a bit hours from Melbourne, 10,000 people. And over the last period of time, there's been enormous interest in Benalla as a community to invest in, particularly in terms of manufacturing. And talking to the Mayor today, he tells me that in the next 5 years, we're going to have over 500 new jobs come to this small community of Benalla. And if we have a multiplier effect of 1.5, we're going to have 750 new jobs, which is roughly 10% of the population are going to be newcomers. So we've got the jobs, we've got the people coming. But what we don't have is the overarching planning or the strategy from the Commonwealth and the state, and we've certainly got the interest from the local community, but we don't have it all working together about how these new jobs are going to be supported with infrastructure. But just let me name the jobs. We've got a precast concrete factory. We've got an aged care facility with 120 beds. We've got Commonwealth investment in the munitions factory that's going to be up to 100 jobs. We've got a hydroponic tomato business, 50 jobs up, and then maybe to 200 jobs by the time we get to the fourth stage. So here's one community, and there are very many other communities in my electorate that are getting the jobs, and manufacturing is alive and well. And for Benalla, it was interesting if we look at the ABS projections of growth for that community. It had a growth rate of 0.3%, but actually it's going to be closer to 10%. So we've just got this misalignment. And so if I can talk about this report tonight and some of the recommendations in it that would really make a difference to Benalla and other towns in my community. We need a national plan of settlement. So all of us are over the cities getting bigger and bigger. We need to have a plan for the whole nation of where people are going to live. And we need to integrate these plans with states and territories, local government and regions, and all the different levels of government. These regional plans need to explore connectivity with and between regions. We need to develop options for investment based on realistic appreciation of our characteristics. We need to explore options for local action and investment. We need to explore options for strategic decentralisation of government services, and also for working with education as one of the drivers for growth. Another recommendation in the report talks about transport networks and allow for fast transit between the cities and the regions. And just let me spend a few minutes talking about how important transport, and particularly public transport, is in North East Victoria. We've been arguing for a very long time with the Victorian government about their V-line services. We have also been working with ARTC, Australian Rail Track Corporation, and I'm really pleased that they've come to the party, and the Commonwealth is investing over $235 million in improving our train line between Melbourne and Albury-Wodonga. But we're not quite there yet, because while we've got the investment started, we need a commitment and we need the money from the Victorian government to put on modern, new, speedy, clean carriages. So to Daniel Andrews, to your government as you face election, can we remind you about the North East Rail Service and our need for quality rolling stock? A commitment would be very useful. Thank you. Because it's public transport, and particularly transport with our cities, that really adds to the livability of our communities, and that's recognised in this report. A couple of other recommendations that I'd like to briefly cover off on. One is recommendation 29 that talks about city deals. And we've been talking in our sister report in Regions at the Ready about regional deals. And in particular, if I could talk about Albury-Wodonga, one of my major, Wodonga is in my electorate, Albury is in the member for Farrer's electorate, but that community operates as one. Tomorrow, members of those community groups, and in particular the RDA, Regional Development Australia, are going to be visiting Canberra for 2 days, with meetings with a large number of ministers and staffers to talk about a city and regional deal for North East Victoria and southern New South Wales. And for me, one of the most important and useful things I think we could do in our city deals is bring our educational institutions together. Albury's got a branch of CSU, Wodonga has a branch of La Trobe, we've got Riverina TAFE, and we've got Wodonga TAFE. And all I can do is just imagine if we could bring those 4 educational institutions together into one polytechnical institution, what amazing driver it would be for growth and innovation and change, and do many of the things that these reports call out for. So in bringing my comments to a close, I've been so excited to invest my time and my energy and to work with my colleagues on both these reports, to acknowledge the work of the committee and the various chairs that have brought these to close. But I could say, imagine if we could do what we really want to be able to do here. Imagine if we, in 50 or 100 years' time, we look back and we get this planning right. We've got our major cities as absolute hubs of innovation and growth, and people want to come and live in them because we've got the lifestyle, we've got the jobs, and they're buzzing places, just full of innovation and creativity. I've got a niece who grew up in my local community near Wodonga, and she's currently working in Berlin. And she said she loves Berlin. It's just an attractor for all the young people of Europe. And I say to my niece, well, I hope before I'm too much older that we might be able to say the regions of Australia, and particularly North East Victoria, has got that zing, got that attraction, that young people from all over the world want to come and live in regional Australia, not only because we've got the jobs, but we've got the innovation, and we've got the lifestyle and the recreation, we've got the telecommunications, and we've got the transport infrastructure that works so well. So my closing comment to Susan Lee, Minister for Regional Development, Michael McCormick, Minister for Regional Development, to Bridget McKenzie, to John McVeigh, to the Treasurer, Josh Frydenberg, we need your help now to take the recommendations from these 2 reports, to give us a quick and speedy response from the government so that we can begin work on doing what we need to do, which is building up and moving out and actually making our regions reach their potential.